Mindful Life Practice Community.
Okay, all right. So today we'll get started on our backs, unless there's a different posture that you'd like to get started in today, and whatever that means for you. So just first paying attention to what your body is asking of you today. If your lower back is a little tender, for example, maybe that encourages encourages you to bring something over, like a blanket, um, or instead of having your legs straight out in a shavasana shape, that you walk your heels in and allow your knees to fall in to one another. Or perhaps you didn't choose a supine position at all because your body is telling you that you need something else. And just take a moment to do a quick scan, noticing your energy, noticing any places that you may be holding on to tension, and then starting to bring your awareness to anything that will help you to become present on your mat today, whether that's your breathing or the sensation of being connected to um, various props or the floor, the sounds around you, near and far. Maybe you can take a moment to set an intention to those practices that we try to encourage for ourselves on and off the mat, and just maintaining some awareness around how that plays out for you today. Knowing that that will serve as a reminder to us later on of how we can better serve ourselves when we're off our mats. And let's just take a few rounds of breath in any way that serves us as we sit with that for a moment. And then after taking two more breaths, just like that, maybe taking three more that are just intentionally a little bit deeper. And then return to a normal rate of breath, whatever that means for you. And then if your legs are outstretched, take a moment to walk them in towards your bum. Bum, that's a word that I've definitely picked up from my friends in other places. Um, and then maybe take them out a little, a little wider, maybe to the width of your mat, and allow your knees to fall in. If you were already there, just hang out there for another breath or two. And then at the bottom of your next exhale, allow your knees to point towards the sky and then to travel over towards the right, falling towards the floor, probably not reaching the floor, and that's totally okay. And then lift your knees up towards the sky and over towards the left. And we'll take that a few more times, just noticing any sensations that you may be feeling as your knees travel from side to side. And take this as slowly or as quickly as is necessary or useful or compassionate for you this morning or this afternoon. Let's Take one more round, left and right. And then when your knees come back up through center, you walk your feet in towards one another until they're about hips width distance apart. And then pull your knees up towards your chest. And once again, noticing any places that you may be feeling sensation here. And then can we first just start to rock from side to side, right to left? And then maybe it might feel good to take your knees in a circular movement, moving in the same direction. And then maybe moving in the opposite direction. And then how would it feel to let the knees separate from one another and go in opposite directions, right and left, but maybe the same direction, coming towards the chest as you take circles with the left knee and circles with the right knee. And then switch direction, only going out as far as the length of your arms will allow, or playing with the idea of just letting them go and using your core strength to generate those movements for you. And take one or two more circles and then hug your knees back in towards your chest. Then can you land your feet on the mat, leaving the right foot planted, and then lift the left foot, turning the left shin so that you can place the left ankle on your right thigh for a figure four stretch on this side. Stay here or lift your left hand and push your left thigh away. And perhaps that's as far as you need to go today. Or you may want to pull the right leg in towards the chest and releasing the fingers behind the right thigh. Maybe even lifting the right leg or the right foot up towards the ceiling. Remember to breathe here. And if your right leg is straight, can you play with pointing and flexing the toes? If your legs are bent, can you just flex the feet? And then with both legs bent, can you allow the left foot to fall towards the floor? Maybe landing on your dog, maybe it lands on the mat. And then stretch the arms out to the side, maybe turning your gaze over the left hand. Let's take 2 rounds of breath here. And then when you're ready, allow the knees to raise. Let's take the left foot and plant it on the floor. Leave it there. Push just the hips as necessary. And this time, can you pull the right knee in towards your chest, turning the right shin and planting it on the left thigh? Staying here or taking the right hand this time, you're using it to push the right thigh away. One more round of breath here, and then maybe you lift the left knee in towards the chest, interlacing the fingers behind the thigh, or maybe even in front of the shin if your arms are long enough to do that. Maybe lifting the left foot up towards the ceiling, maybe leaving it right where it was. And if that leg is straight, maybe starting to point and flex the toes. Now, if that left leg is straight, go ahead and bend it so that you're back into the raised figure four stretch. And then this time, can you allow the right foot to fall towards the floor on the right side of that mat? Outstretch the arms again if they moved. And then turn your gaze over the right hand or the right forearm. It's noticing where you feel the sensation of the stretch. Noticing whether you feel anything at all. What's part of staying in the moment. One more round of breath here. And then slowly lift the legs back up through center. Let's drop the right foot back down to the mat. Pull the knees in towards the chest. One more time, rocking forwards and backwards. And then this time we'll use momentum, either crossing at the ankles and rocking forwards and backwards along the length of the spine. Or maybe we use the momentum of rolling over onto the side to work our way up to a seated shape. We'll take a few rounds of breath here. You're anchoring through your sitting bones, maybe rocking from side to side so that you can really get a feel for where they are. Maybe your palms fell on your thighs or your knees face down. Maybe they flip face up. There's no right or wrong, just noticing where they landed. Or maybe your eyes are closed and maybe they're just, your gaze is lowered, looking down towards the mat, just in front of your, just in front of the long edge of your mat. And for a couple more rounds of breath, maybe you can imagine the lower part of your body getting heavier as the top part is lifting up towards the sky. Two more rounds of breath, just like that. Allow your shoulders to sink down towards the mat. And at the bottom of the next exhale, can we inhale the arms up and overhead? And exhale, palms touch down through heart center. Inhale, the arms up and overhead. Perhaps our gaze follows. And exhale, hands down to heart center. One more time. Inhale. And exhale to lower the hands. From here, let's drop the right hand on the outside of the right hip and lift the left hand up and overhead. Inhale, both arms up through center. Lower the left hand and fold over towards the left, allowing the left or the right arm to travel. Inhale, and we'll take that two more times on each side. Maybe breathing, inhaling on the way up and exhaling on the way down and over. One more time. This time, inhale your hands up and let's twist over to the right. So this time, right hand comes behind the body. Left hand comes right underneath the knee. And can you gently pull yourself into this twist? Maybe taking your gaze over your right shoulder. And hold here for a few breaths. Maybe lengthening a little bit more on the inhale. And then seeing if you can turn a little more on the exhale. One more round of breath, just like that. And we'll start to release that pose. First by coming back through center. Take one round of breath here, maybe noticing how things feel on one side versus the other. And then at the bottom of the next exhale, can you inhale to lift the arms up towards the sky? And then exhale to lower, this time bringing the left hand behind the body, right hand underneath the thigh, and twist. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and twist a little more. Maybe taking the gaze over the left shoulder. One more round of breath, just like that. And then slowly start to unwind the pose, turning back through center. 2 rounds of breath this time. And then at the bottom of your next exhale, can you work your way in any way that makes sense to you to all fours? Spread your knees wide, bring your toes into touch, and then allow your hips to fall backwards while your hands walk forward, bringing your head down towards the mat for child's pose. You make this an active child's pose by coming up onto your fingertips and walking your hands forward while you send your hips back in space. Or just allow everything to be heavy. Forearms, chest, hips falling deeper into the mat. If they're not touching, just energetically moving in that direction. Whatever you've chosen, one more round of breath. And then from here, let's walk the hands back and walk the knees in and set up for tabletop. Pausing in this tabletop to notice the position of your hands, your wrists, your shoulders, your hips, and your knees. Noticing whether your shoulders are stacked over your wrists. Are your fingers close to each other, or are they spread apart for balance and stability? Are your hips stacked over your knees? And then what are your feet doing? Are they the tops of the feet touching the mat, or your toes tucked? Doesn't matter which one you've chosen, just noticing that. And let's take about 5 rounds of cat-cow here. We're dropping the belly and lifting the chin and the hips. And then exhale to round everything down and around. Taking this again as slowly or as quickly as you need to. And inviting any other movements that are organic to you in this moment. And so, what does that look like? You decide. Maybe turning your gaze to look towards your left heel and then your right. Maybe inviting some circles. Let's take a few more rounds, just asking your body what it needs. Has your spine yet not moved in a direction that it wants to? Are you noticing any areas that are sticky that some movement might help to unstick in this moment? Maybe just giving your tail a little wag from side to side. That one was inspired by Charlie Brown. And then come to stillness in your table. Maybe untuck the toes. Can you move your left hand in towards the middle of your mat just a bit? And then inhale to lift the right arm up towards the ceiling. I'm going to exhale the right arm underneath the armpit, but stay planted through your left hand and just kind of hover, maybe wiggling the fingers. And then inhale to lift back up towards the ceiling. Exhale to lower. Right arm under left armpit, wiggle the fingers and hover. One more time, lift up towards the ceiling. This time we're going to reach and lower the right shoulder down to the mat. Left hand can stay planted by the head, or you can stretch that left arm nice and long, coming up onto the fingertips, or allowing the arm to be heavy. You decide what you're looking for in this moment. Maybe you can add a little bit more weight to that right shoulder. Maybe you want to lift the left arm up and back behind you, planting the back of the right hand, or excuse me, the back of the left hand on the right hip crease. Maybe opening up across the shoulder on that left side. Let's exhale to unwind that pose if you took that bind, walking the fingers forward. And then slide the left hand back in right in front of your gaze. And then inhale to lift the right arm up towards the ceiling one more time. This time, let's lower the right hand to replace the left. Take one round of breath here. And then inhale, left hand lifts towards the ceiling. Exhale to lower left arm underneath right armpit, hover, wiggle the fingers. Inhale to lift up towards the ceiling. Exhale to reach through and hover. One more time. And exhale to reach and hover. This time, let's go ahead and lower the left shoulder down to the mat, leaving the right hand right in front of your gaze or walking that hand forward, maybe coming up onto the fingertips. Maybe that arm stays heavy. Maybe you try both and then decide which one you're feeling today. And maybe you lift that right hand up and behind you. And maybe you open up across that right shoulder. Let's take 2 more rounds of breath in whatever we've chosen. And then if your right arm is behind the back, can you slowly unwind? First reaching it forward. And then slide the hand back in front of the face before lifting the left hand back up into the ceiling. And then exhale, bringing it back down towards the floor. Let's spread the knees wide again. Bring the toes into touch. Walk the hands back and allow the hips to go in the opposite direction. Bring your forehead down. Let's take 3 rounds of breath here, maybe noticing any differences that you may be feeling between the first child's pose and this one. And 1 more round of breath, just like that. And then let's lift the body, walk the hands back, and set back up in this table position. Maybe give your hips a shake or a wiggle, a sway. Sway is the word, from side to side, before coming to stillness. Shoulders stacked over wrists, hips over knees. Let's tuck the toes. And on the count of 3, 2, 1, pushing down through the toes, let's lift the hips up and back for downward facing dog. Oh yeah. Taking this downward facing dog in stillness if you choose, maybe movement, especially if this is your first downward facing dog of the day, like it is for me. Just noticing any sensations that you may be feeling, knowing that you can keep as generous of a bend in your knees as is needed to accommodate whatever sensations you may be feeling. And then let's bring that movement to stillness for one more round of breath, maybe sending the torso back towards the thighs just a little bit more. And then step the feet out just about an inch or two on each side. Keep a generous bend in your knee and start to walk the hands back towards the toes. And dangle here for just a moment. Maybe resting on the fingertips, and maybe you analyze the weight distribution in your foot by rocking forwards and backwards from the ball of your foot to the heel. Just looking for that sweet spot where you find stability, and then pause there. Maybe lifting the fingers and grabbing opposite elbows and just hanging out here. Maybe you decide to sway from side to side as though you have some breeze that is pushing you in one direction or the next, or maybe the power of your fan is sending you from side to side. Just calm to stillness in the center. Release the elbows if you have them, and get really, really heavy for just another breath. And then planting down through both feet, can we inhale and lift up halfway, maybe tracing the shin? And then exhale, so fall forward. Inhale to lift halfway. And exhale to fold. One more time. Inhale to lift halfway. And exhale to fold. This time we'll rise all the way up to standing as slowly and mindfully as you are able this morning, allowing your head to be the last thing to come up. Pausing for a moment here, just allowing your body to recalibrate now that you're in a standing position. Your eyes are closed, slowly blink them open. And then we'll take a few sun salutations here. So let's inhale to lift the hands up towards the ceiling. Exhale, bringing the hands down through heart center and fold all the way to the floor. Inhale to lift up halfway. Exhale to fold. Maybe your knees are still bent. Maybe they're starting to lengthen a little. Inhale to rise all the way up through standing. Exhale, hands down to heart center and down by your side. And we'll take that 3 more times. Inhale up. Exhale to fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up through standing, maybe taking a small back bend here. Exhale, hands down through heart center and down by your side. 2 more times. Inhale up. Exhale, all the way down. Inhale to lift halfway. Exhale and fold. Inhale, rise all the way up through standing, palms come to touch, take a back bend. Exhale, hands down through heart center and down by your side. One more time on your own breath. Let's take 3 rounds of breath here. Planting down through all 4 corners of your feet. Lengthening up through your quads, pulling your lower belly in and up, allowing your shoulders to drop, head reaching through the ceiling. One more round of breath. Standing nice and tall in your mountain. And then from here, let's inhale, arms up. Exhale to fold forward, bringing the fingertips to the mat. Can you slowly walk your hands forward? Downward facing dog. Two more rounds of breath here. Can you spread really wide through your fingers? And one more. And then maybe walking your feet back in that inch on either side that you walked them out before. Can you plant down through both hands and your left foot and lift the right leg up towards the sky? Exhale to allow the right foot to drop over towards the left side of the mat, just starting to open up the hips. And then inhale to lift. Let's square the hips towards the mat and bring the right knee in towards the chest. And then can we step the right foot on the outside of the right hand? Just kind of shift yourself forwards and backwards. And then let's drop the left knee and set up for lizard on this right side. Untuck the toes. Just take a moment here in this lizard. Maybe you sway, shift. What do we call this? Do the side to side movement and then come up with a word in your head that best represents what you're doing. And then come to stillness. And take one round of breath here while you consider what else your body is calling for in this shape. Is it allowing your right foot to open up towards the right edge? Is it lifting your right hand and pushing your right thigh out to the right side? Or is it keeping that right foot planted on the mat, maybe even walking it out to the right a little bit more and coming down onto your forearms? Or some blocks if you need to kind of shorten the distance between where you are and where the floor is. And let's take 3 rounds of breath here. And then if you're on your forearms, walk yourself up so that you're back up onto your hands. If your right foot is on the right side, let's replant that foot and let's slide the right hand out of the way and move the right foot in towards the center of the mat between the two hands. And so now we're in the sludge pose. Maybe bringing the left knee up a little bit closer to the right knee. And then walk the hands up the shin, interlacing the fingers on top of the thigh. And then let's give a little shift forwards and back. Let's noticing any difference in the way that this feels versus when we were in lizard. And then find a position that feels nice and stable for you before you inhale and lift the fingertips up towards the ceiling. And from here, let's exhale the left hand on the inside of the right foot and lift the right fingertips up towards the ceiling as we twist. Stay here, or maybe you lower that right hand behind the back. And maybe if you're feeling like lifting the left leg and reaching back for the left foot or the left ankle, you go for that. Otherwise, stay here. If you reach back for your left foot, go ahead and release that when you're ready. Send your right arm back up towards the sky. And then exhale and lower it down to frame the foot. From here, let's come up onto the left toes and lift the left leg off the mat, planting down through both hands. You send the right leg back for downward facing dog. Pedal the feet to walk the dog or hang out there in stillness, and just notice how one side feels versus the other. And then when you're ready, can you plant down through both hands and your right foot and send your left leg up towards the sky this time, allowing the left leg or the left foot to fall towards the right side of the mat. And then let's re-extend that leg nice and long, squaring the hips towards the mat and pulling the left knee in towards the chest before stepping it out to the outside of the left hand. Let's shift forwards and backwards here. And then drop the right knee to prepare for lizard on this side. Just notice what your body is calling for. And so options again are turning the left foot out on the left side, lifting the left hand and pushing the left thigh away, or leaving the left foot planted and staying here on the hands, or maybe coming down onto forearms. You decide. And 3 rounds of breath. At the bottom of your next exhale, if you are on your forearms, work your way back up onto your hands. If your foot is turned out to the side, bring it flat to the floor, and then slide that left hand out of the way. And let's move the left foot in between the 2 hands, maybe sliding that right knee back in a little closer to where the left is. And then walk your hands up the shin, interlacing the fingers, maybe shifting forward. Or maybe you've already found stability and you know where we're going and you've lifted your fingers up towards the ceiling. And then from here, let's exhale the right hand on the inside of the left foot and send the left hand up towards the sky. Staying here, maybe we take that left hand behind the back of the hand in the right hip crease. And maybe we're inspired to lift the right leg up and reach back. And maybe you did it on one side and not on the other, and that is totally okay. One more round of breath. And then if you have the foot, go ahead and release that. Maybe send the left arm back up towards the sky. And then exhale to lower both hands, frame the foot. Let's tuck the right toes and lift the right leg off the mat. Maybe shift forwards and backwards before planting through both hands and sending the left foot back to meet the right for downward facing dog. 3 rounds of breath here. At the bottom of the next exhale, can you bring the knees down towards the mat? Take them wide and bring the toes into touch unless there's another version of child's pose that is calling to you. And lower the head, lower the chest. Allow everything to be heavy. For 3 more rounds of breath. One more. And then when you're ready, can you work your way back up to tabletop? Give your hips a little shake from side to side. Just noticing for a moment how everything feels. And then when you're ready, you extend the right leg long, staying up on the toes and just pushing back with your right heel. And it may feel good to just hang out here in this static stretch, or it may feel good to shift forwards and back. Come to stillness. And from here, let's lift the right leg parallel to the mat and extend the left arm long. Stay here, or if you'd like, if you're so inspired, bring left knee in to right, or right knee into left elbow for a crunch. 3, 4, 5. And then can you land the left hand and turn the left shin off your mat, and then inhale and lift your right arm towards the sky. Right leg still lifted, or feel free to lower it down to the mat. If your right leg is lifted, maybe you pull the right heel towards the bottom and reach back with the right hand, taking a back bend here, maybe keeping a small bend in your left elbow. So one more round of breath. And then if you've taken this bind, release, arm overhead. And then exhale everything down, returning to table. And we'll take that on the other side. Let's extend the left leg long behind us. Sending the left heel back. Staying here in the static stretch or shifting forwards and back. You decide. And then if you've chosen movement, come to stillness. Let's lift the left leg off the mat this time and extend the right arm long. Stay here or bring elbow to knee for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's lower the right hand, turn the right shin off the mat, and then lift the left arm up towards the sky. Stay here or lower the right foot down to the mat, or bring the right heel in towards the bottom and reach back for the left foot or left ankle. Exhale to release, lowering the fingers overhead, and then return everything down to tabletop. Shifting the hips from left to right. And then let's fishtail the feet over to one side and come down onto your bottom. From here, let's straddle the legs wide for just a moment, but then we'll take the left foot inside and place it, I'll say near the inner right thigh. Can be touching or spaced out a little bit. You decide based on how you feel. Let's inhale, the hands up and overhead. And then can you turn your torso towards your outstretched right leg? And then exhale to fold forward over the leg. And stopping wherever your body naturally tells you it wants to go. And then with each exhale, can you just notice whether or not you can sink a little deeper into that side? And if the answer is no, know that that is totally okay. One more round of breath here. And then when you're ready, slowly start to walk the hands back so that you're seated upright. And then can you bring the left hand behind the body, behind the left hip? And then inhale yourself up and onto that left knee and take a back bend here. Right leg is outstretched, right foot is planted on the mat. For 3, 2, 1. And then slowly exhale to lower. And let's switch the legs, sending the left leg out long and bringing the right foot in towards the inner left thigh. We'll inhale the arms up and overhead and turn the body towards the left leg, and then exhale to lower. Hands can be on the mat or on the outside of the foot or the ankle, just wherever it naturally wants to go. With each exhale, can you feel yourself sink a little deeper? One more round of breath. And then when you're ready, slowly walk your hands back, bringing your right hand behind the body, behind the right hip. And then can you inhale yourself up and over onto the right leg, right knee, left leg is extended, taking a back bend and a deep breath. One more round of breath here. The bottom of the next exhale, you slowly lower yourself all the way down, bringing both legs straight out in front of you for a breath. And then when you're ready, walk the heels back towards the body and walk yourself down, maybe moving your hips closer to your heels closer to your hips, coming down onto your forearms, and then working your way all the way down to the floor. From here, can you extend your legs long underneath of you and your arms long above you? Take 3 more rounds of breath. And then ask yourself if there are any other movements that you would like to take before concluding your practice today. If the answer is yes, I invite you to take those movements. If the answer is no, then I invite you to relax everything into your version of Shavasana today. 5 more rounds of breath. And of course, if you have the time and you'd like to stay in your Shavasana, I invite you to do so. Otherwise, take another round of breath or two as you prepare yourself for movement. And in any way that makes sense for you, work your way up to a seated shape. One day I'll look at the clock before deciding we need to go into Shavasana and having to shorten it. If you are so inspired, let's take 3 sun breaths together to complete today's practice. Inhaling, arms up and overhead, and exhaling them to heart center. Inhale to lift, and exhale to lower. One more time, just like that. As you move forward through your day, remember the practices that you want to encourage for yourself or try to encourage for yourself. Until the next time we meet, the light in me sees and honors the light in you. Thank you for sharing your time and your practice and your energy with me. Namaste.